You don't lose a woman when she walks away. You lose her long before that, when she quietly stops respecting you. And here's the harsh truth. It never happens because you're broke, unattractive, or boring. It happens because of the tiny things you do every day that tell her you don't value yourself. Most men never notice it until she's already gone. In this video, I'll break down the 8 things that make a woman stop taking you seriously, even when she says she loves you. If you've ever wondered why she pulled away, why her tone changed, or why her eyes stopped lighting up for you, you're about to find out the real reason. Before we start, ask yourself something. When was the last time a woman truly respected you? Not just liked you, not needed you, but looked up to you. If you had to think about it, that's the problem. Somewhere along the line, you stopped leading with presence and started negotiating for approval. Every man has done it at some point. The question is, will you keep repeating it, or will you finally understand it? If you're ready to take accountability, hit like and subscribe right now. And in the comments, write, "I choose respect over comfort." That's your declaration, your reset. Now, let's look at the first behavior that makes her admiration fade. And you'll realize it's not her you need to fix, it's your frame. Number 1, when you spend like you're buying her love. Money can impress her for a moment, but it never builds respect. The moment she senses that you're trying to buy her affection, she stops seeing you as a man she wants and starts seeing you as a man she can use. Most men don't realize this shift when it happens. They think generosity is romantic. They believe effort equals reward. But in her subconscious, it signals something very different. He's compensating for a lack of value. Here's the psychology behind it. Attraction for women is emotional, not transactional. When a man spends lavishly on a woman who hasn't earned it, it doesn't make her feel special. It makes her feel powerful. And power kills polarity. She stops being the one who wants to be chosen and becomes the one who gets to choose how far she can stretch his boundaries before he says enough. Picture this. You're paying for her Uber, her dinner, her gifts. You tell yourself it's just being nice. Meanwhile, she's still texting other men, still posting thirst traps, still keeping you in the friend zone. She takes the benefits, not the man. In her mind, she's thinking, if he gives this much without commitment, what would he do if I actually gave him attention? That curiosity turns into contempt. Women don't fall in love with providers. They fall in love with leaders. When you invest too early, she stops wondering who you are and starts calculating what else she can get. The truth is simple. A woman doesn't fall for the man who buys her things. She falls for the man she can't buy. A high-value man invests after she chooses him, not before. Because when you spend from fear she'll lose interest, fear she'll pick someone else, you teach her that your affection has a price tag. But when you spend from strength, when your attention itself is valuable, she starts treating you differently. So before you open your wallet, ask yourself one thing. Is this generosity or is this negotiation? Number 2, when you apologize just to keep the peace. There's a difference between being accountable and being submissive. One earns respect, the other erases it. Every time you say, "I'm sorry," just to avoid tension, you teach her one dangerous lesson, that her emotions are more important than your reality. Most men don't apologize because they did something wrong. They apologize because they fear losing her approval. That's not love. That's emotional obedience. And once a woman recognizes that pattern, she begins to test it. Each time she sees you fold, she pushes harder. Not out of malice, but out of instinct. She's trying to find the limit. Here's the psychology behind it. Women crave emotional stability. When you apologize too fast, you signal instability. You show that her mood has control over your state. Instead of calming the storm, you become part of it. She stops seeing you as grounded and starts seeing you as fragile. Imagine this. She accuses you of being distant because you didn't reply to a text while you were working. You immediately respond, "I'm sorry, I should have texted sooner." You think you're smoothing things over, but in her subconscious, she's registering a message. My emotions dictate his actions. That's not comfort. That's control. A man who respects himself doesn't rush to fix feelings that aren't his to fix. He listens. He stays calm, but he doesn't kneel emotionally. Women may enjoy the apology in the moment, but long-term, it kills their respect. Because deep down, they don't want a man who bows. They want a man who can stand still when the ground shakes. The truth is, every unnecessary apology erases a piece of your authority. Real strength is owning your mistakes and only your mistakes. Say sorry when you've genuinely failed, not when she's simply uncomfortable. Because when you apologize for things that aren't your fault, you're not being kind. You're surrendering your frame. And once you lose that frame, every word that follows sounds like begging. Number 3, when you defend her even when she's wrong. Blind loyalty doesn't make you a good man. It makes you an easy one. When a woman crosses a line and you rush to protect her from accountability, she doesn't feel loved. She feels superior. The moment she realizes you'll shield her no matter what, she stops respecting you and starts managing you. Most men mistake silence for support and defense for devotion. But women are experts at reading emotional signals. When she knows you'll defend her even when she's out of line, she registers one thing: he's afraid to lose me. And the second she feels that fear, the balance of power shifts. Imagine this. You're out together and she snaps at a waiter for being too slow. You laugh it off, saying, "She's just having a bad day." Or worse, you glare at the waiter to back her up. She may smile in the moment, but later something changes. She starts seeing you as a man who bends around her chaos. She knows you'll take her side even when she's wrong, which means your principles are negotiable. Here's the psychological truth. Women don't respect men they can guilt into loyalty. They respect men who can look them in the eye and say, "You crossed a line." It's not confrontation. It's calibration. It tells her that you have standards, that you're strong enough to challenge her without fear of rejection. When you defend her bad behavior, you're teaching her how to disrespect you safely. You're telling her, "No matter what you do, I'll protect your image." But here's the problem. When she no longer fears losing your respect, she stops guarding hers. Support her when she's under attack, but don't defend what's indefensible. A man who can stand still in truth is far more attractive than one who hides behind false harmony. Because in the end, respect isn't built through blind loyalty. It's built through boundaries that don't move, even when she tests them. Number 4, when you chase what's pulling away. The harder you chase, the faster she runs. When a woman begins to pull away, most men panic. They feel the silence, the slow replies, the colder energy, and instantly start fighting to get her back. They double text, call more, send long messages explaining how they just want to talk. But here's the paradox. Every move to close the distance only widens it. Women pull away for 2 reasons: to test your strength or to confirm their exit. Either way, how you react decides everything. If she senses desperation, she labels you as predictable. Predictability kills attraction. But if she feels calm confidence that your world doesn't crumble without her, it forces her to reevaluate your value. Here's the psychology. Women feel safest with men who are emotionally self-contained. When you chase her withdrawal, you're saying, "Your approval regulates my peace." That energy suffocates attraction. Instead of wondering what you're doing, she feels she already knows. waiting for her next move. Picture this. She goes distant. Hours, maybe days, without a reply. You keep checking your phone, rewriting messages to sound casual. You think persistence shows care, but what she sees is insecurity disguised as attention. And nothing dries attraction faster than a man trying to prove he still matters. The truth is, when a woman pulls away, she's silently asking, "Can you stay centered without my validation?" If the answer is yes, she starts to feel curiosity again. If the answer is no, she starts to feel pity. And pity is poison to desire. Desperation is the fastest way to convince her you're replaceable. So don't chase distance, match it, pull back into your own rhythm, go back to your mission, your discipline, your calm. Let silence work for you. Because real strength isn't about fighting for her attention. It's about showing her that your value doesn't vanish when she disappears. The man who can stand still when she walks away is the one she eventually walks back to. Number 5. When she controls the narrative and you let her. Every relationship has a silent author. The one who writes the story defines the power. When a woman controls the narrative, she controls your role inside it. Most men don't realize they've handed her the pen until it's too late. They start as equals and end up as passengers, waiting for her to decide what this is. Here's the truth. The person who sets the frame of the relationship dictates the rules of engagement. If she says, "Let's not label it," and you nod along, you've already accepted a role she designed, the flexible backup. You think patience shows maturity, but in her psychology, it signals uncertainty. And women can't trust uncertainty. Imagine this. You're giving her time, effort, affection, all the behaviors of a boyfriend. But when someone asks her who you are, she replies, "We're just talking." You laugh it off, afraid to push, because you don't want to scare her away. But that silence doesn't buy time. It sells your value. You've told her you'll commit without commitment, that she can take the benefits without responsibility. Women respect men who define their standards early. It's not about dominance, it's about direction. A man who says, "I don't do undefined situations," communicates strength, not control, not pressure, just self-respect. And that energy forces her to calibrate, because now she knows she's dealing with someone who can walk away. Here's the psychology. Women are drawn to men who create structure, not because they want to be controlled, but because it makes them feel safe. When you let her decide everything, the pace, the labels, the boundaries, you turn potential security into emotional chaos. If she's the one defining the rules, you're already playing her game. A real man doesn't ask for the driver's seat. He naturally takes it through clarity, consistency, and confidence. So the next time she says, "Let's see where this goes," understand this. Where it goes depends on who's holding the map. Number 6. When you can't say no. A man who can't say no slowly becomes a man who doesn't matter. You think you're being generous? You think saying yes makes you caring, dependable, good. But to a woman, endless compliance doesn't read as kindness. It reads as weakness. And once she realizes you can't deny her, she stops valuing your agreement. Women test boundaries not to break you, but to understand you. Every request, every emotional demand, every "Can you do this for me?" is a subtle question. Are you strong enough to protect your own peace? When your answer is always yes, the test ends. And so does her respect. Picture this. She calls you late at night, asking you to drive across town because she's bored. You're exhausted, you have work in the morning, but you go anyway. She thanks you with a soft smile, then scrolls on her phone while you drive. The next time she needs something, she doesn't even ask. She expects. Because you've trained her that her convenience outranks your boundaries. Here's the psychology. People value what costs them something. When your time, your effort, and your energy come without resistance, they lose meaning. Women respect men whose yes has weight, because it means their presence required discernment, not desperation. A man who never says no doesn't earn respect. He earns exhaustion. Saying no isn't rejection, it's definition. It tells her who you are and what you stand for. It builds trust because she knows your agreement means something. The next time she asks for a favor, pause. Ask yourself, am I saying yes because I want to or because I'm afraid to lose her? That single question can save you years of quiet resentment. You don't build love by saying yes to everything. You build respect by showing restraint. Women may not always like boundaries, but they always trust the men who have them. Because the moment she realizes you can walk away from her request, she finally understands you're not trying to please her. You're teaching her how to value you. Number 7, when you sacrifice your masculinity for approval. The most silent way a man loses himself is by slowly trading pieces of who he is for her comfort. It doesn't happen overnight. It starts when you skip the gym because she says she misses you. When you cancel plans with your friends because she doesn't feel like going out. When you stop doing the things that made you confident in the first place, all in the name of keeping her happy. At first, she might reward it. She smiles, calls you sweet, tells you she loves how attentive you are. But deep down, something shifts. She doesn't feel safer. She feels heavier. Because now, she carries the weight of your identity. The man she once admired, driven, focused, independent, has become emotionally dependent on her approval. Here's the psychology. Attraction comes from polarity. She's drawn to your focus, your ambition, your direction. When you abandon those things, you collapse the polarity that created the spark. She no longer feels your strength. She feels your need. And need repels. Imagine this. You used to have passions, goals, routines. But now, every choice filters through her preferences. You think it proves commitment. She reads it as loss of purpose. She can't admire a man who's orbiting her world because she fell for the man who had his own. She can't admire the man she has to parent. That line stings because it's true. When she has to remind you who you were, she's no longer your partner, she's your caretaker. And caretaking kills desire. Compromise in love is healthy, but self-erasure is not. The version of you that a woman respects is the version anchored in direction. The man with gravity, not the man drifting to keep peace. You don't keep her by shrinking. You keep her by standing tall in what makes you you. Because when you lose your masculinity to gain her comfort, you don't actually gain her. You lose the very energy she fell for. Stay centered. Stay ambitious. Let her orbit you, not the other way around. Number 8, when you put her above yourself every time. Putting her first sounds noble. It sounds romantic. But when it becomes a habit, it quietly tells her something fatal. That her time, her needs, and her emotions will always matter more than yours. And the moment she believes that, the balance dies. Women don't lose interest because you care too much. They lose interest when you stop caring about yourself. The man who cancels his plans whenever she calls, who changes his schedule just to fit hers, who drops everything to make her comfortable, he's not showing devotion. He's showing dependency, and dependency never earns respect. Here's the psychology behind it. Attraction thrives on tension, two strong energies meeting in the middle. When one energy constantly yields, the polarity collapses. She stops seeing you as an equal partner and starts seeing you as a convenience. You become the safety net, not the prize. Imagine this. She texts you, "I'm bored, come over." You have an early morning meeting, but you go anyway. You think you're proving loyalty. She's thinking, he has nothing better going on. That thought, once formed, never fully disappears. Because women can't respect a man who abandons himself for access to them. The truth is simple. A man who prioritizes himself doesn't push her away. He draws her in. His purpose becomes his gravity. She feels it, even if she can't explain it. She knows that his world doesn't spin around her, and that's exactly why she wants to be part of it. The man she obeys is the man who obeys his purpose. That's not arrogance. That's order. When she sees that your goals, your health, your discipline come first, she starts organizing her world around you. Loving her doesn't mean losing you. It means showing her that the best version of her only exists next to the strongest version of you. So the next time you're tempted to drop everything for her, remember, she doesn't fall for the man who makes her his world. She falls for the man whose world is worth entering. Every failed relationship has one silent root: the moment respect died. Not because she stopped loving you, but because you stopped leading yourself. Respect isn't a reward she gives you. It's a reflection of how you show up. You've seen it now. 8 habits that seem harmless, but slowly destroy attraction. Spending to impress, apologizing to avoid tension, defending what's wrong, chasing what's walking away, letting her write the story, saying yes when you mean no, killing your masculinity for approval, and putting her above yourself every time. They all stem from the same seed: fear of loss. Fear of losing her makes you lose yourself first. And once that happens, everything else falls apart. But here's the truth. Women don't respect men who never lose. They respect men who never lose themselves. The man who can stand in silence after rejection, who can say no without guilt, who can walk away without anger. That's the man she looks up to. Because he doesn't act from fear. He acts from center. So from this moment forward, check every decision, every text, every favor, every apology. Ask yourself one question. Am I doing this from power or from fear? If it's from fear, stop. Reset. Return to the man you were before you started chasing approval. The man with vision, purpose, and self-respect. The man she respects isn't the loudest, the richest, or the most romantic. He's the one who never trades his self-worth for temporary affection. And if what you heard today hit something deep, it's because part of you already knows it's true. That part, the one that wants to reclaim control, to stop pleasing, to lead again. That's your real strength calling. Don't ignore it. If you're ready to rebuild that strength, start here. Subscribe, not for me, but for the man you're becoming, because the version of you who commands respect isn't lost. He's just waiting for you to stop apologizing for being him.